Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to another video. I am finally home from being on the road a lot with Toast, the bread tribute band I play in, and I have a lot of videos I want to do. I just haven't had time to do them. I've kind of been silent. A lot of gear demos coming down the pipe, but also just wondering if you guys, are you still interested in the gig vlogs? Do you find value in those, or would you rather just me do more gear demos? I'm probably going to still do both, but I'm just trying to figure out where to focus more of my energy. Since I'm on the road, I may try to do some more stuff while I'm on the road, and then when I'm home, try to figure out how to do that with the time I have being home. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys today about what should you choose, modeling or amps? And I think that that's a good question. And I think there's not one right answer. And I think it really depends on the gig. I wanted to go show you guys upstairs in my studio kind of the gear I have and the decisions I make based off of what gig I'm playing. And you may have asked yourself, Rich, what were you playing through at the beginning of the video? And it was just a little teeny Positive Grid Spark Go that I had by my phone. So for stuff like that, videos and stuff, small little videos where I'm just kind of doing this is just kind of a quick life update, what's going on with me and what's going to be happening with the channel, hopefully, with the time that I have. But let's talk gear for a minute, because I think that there's a lot of mindsets of one or the other, but I don't think that's true. I think modeling and real amps have their place for every different kind of gig. So I want to show you guys some different setups I have, pedal boards and amps and modelers, and then you guys decide, what you do. I play a lot of different types of gigs and a lot of different venues, and so it all depends on that kind of thing or what kind of band you're playing in. So I'm gonna take you upstairs. Let's go check it out. All right, so this is my studio, you guys. I've been gone a lot, and so I haven't had time to do reviews. This is one of these is a Paul Gilbert signature Ibanez Fireman, and I believe one is a Dave Grohl. I haven't opened these yet, but you'll see these soon if you keep watching the channel. The Dave Grohl signature Epiphone model from Zounds, and then also I've been wanting to do some amp reviews because I haven't played through amps in a while. So this is the Marshall. Well, I'll keep that one a surprise. That's some kind of Marshall. I've been getting into these Apache cases for road stuff, and so one of my Helix or my HX Stomp boards, I've having one of these, and it's in one of the trailers for Toast. And they're kind of nice because you can kind of make the foam fit whatever pedal boards you want. They're a little smaller, and so you have to kind of, if you're going to do this kind of thing, you have to make sure you're doing a smaller board. But I find myself these days realizing that for what I'm doing right now, it's all I need. All right, so we're talking amps and modelers. I have lots of amps, you guys. Some cheap ones. This is one of those Monoprice Stage Right amps. I've got Boss Katanas. I've got Marshalls. I've got Black Stars. I've got Egnators. I've got a Fender Princeton. I've got a Fender DeVille. I've got another Black Star in here. And for this setup, I sometimes use the 2 Notes Torpedo Captor X for recording. So lots of different scenarios for what kind of setup you need, but I'm talking live because I think a lot of you guys play live. And for me, with this whole bread tribute thing I'm doing, it's all modelers. And my thing is if you're going to be playing modelers, the whole band has to be playing them, because you can't have one guy on stage with a Marshall on 10 and another guy just running a modeler through a little backline FR cab or just straight to house. But let me just show you. This is the history of my playing. this is usually what I did. And I got into modelers mostly in the past. Let me grab this out. I got into modelers mostly in the past because of recording mostly, and then all of a sudden I got into a band that actually uses them. Where before I've tried to use modelers with other guitar players that are using real amps, and it just never worked out. So this is really where I've always landed, is a regular pedal board. Blues driver, a boost pedal. This is some Catalan bred pedal. Sometimes I do a hybrid. So I would do an amp, but also run an Iridium out to front of house instead of miking the amp, but just having the amp on stage for myself and just for more, just to fill up the sound of the stage, especially like if you're doing like a 3-piece, it helps. Compressor, reverb, delay pedal, tuner, just your basic pedal board stuff, right? And then I've never really, as long as the amp translates well for pedals, I've never been a huge stickler on what amp I use on stage, wattage or sound, but I think the speaker makes the biggest difference. And for the most part, in the past, I've mostly used Celestion 30 speakers. In fact, I believe this Avatar cab has been one of my favorites. Celestion 30 in it. I did swap out the Marshall over there. You can't see it, it's covered, but put a Celestion 30 in that. I'm not sure what some of these Marshall cabs have in them, but they sound really good with certain pedals and certain amps. So it's all up to your discretion what you want to use. I still love using an amp, and in fact, I somewhat miss that. My buddy Afu, the band I play in with him, and other bands I've sat in with the past, my old band, Quinn Brown Project, all amplifiers. And now that I'm using in-ears and modelers, I've kind of lost some of that. I've lost a lot of those kind of gigs, but it still translates well to the audience, which is really the biggest part of it, I believe. And I've gotten more used to in-ears over the years, but I still miss having just a big old amp behind me cranking. So really, my take on amps and modelers is, if you're going to do the modeling route, you really need to go both. If there's two guitar players, you really both need to either go modeling or both be playing amps, because it's hard to compete with a real amp versus just a modeler going to front of house. I mean, it probably can be done if you have a good sound guy, but yeah. Studio's kind of a mess because I haven't been here for, I think we went on the cruise, and then I've just been gigging almost every weekend or almost every other week somewhere in the United States. We were in St. Louis, Kansas City. We were up in South Dakota. We were in Arizona. We were in Florida, all within the last month or so. And so I need to get back up here and get into the studio and get things going again, which the studio part, I don't talk a lot about my studio part of my channel, you guys, because this is more of a guitar channel, but I have a real love for recording and studio gear. In fact, I've got a lot of good mic preamps like Neves and APIs and some SSL, Warm Audio, 1073, and some Focusrite stuff. And the reason why I have all these monitors behind me is because I do a lot of mixing for clients. I used to do a lot more recording, but I've been getting a lot more people calling for mixing just because I've been so busy on the road that I can't be here to record a lot. So I'll do a lot of mixing. And in fact, I sometimes will use a laptop and these Slate VSX headphones. Not always. If I can get in here and use the speakers, I more likely will do that, and sometimes just reference on those. Anyway, that's all nerd studio stuff. I know you guys, most of you guys that follow this channel are guitar players. And so I thought at the end of this video, why don't you guys put in your opinion on amps and modelers in the comments. Do you agree it depends on the gig? Are you a diehard tube amp guy? Diehard modeler? Let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. It'd be cool to get you guys feedback. But I think at the end of this video, I would like to pull out a guitar I haven't played for a while that my buddy Mitch gave me about a year or so ago. That's an awesome guitar that I think I would really start to like playing it out live, but it's just I have a hard time putting some of these more expensive guitars in a trailer to travel across the country. So we'll pull that out, and at the end of this video I'll just kind of play a track with this guitar, and you guys will get to see what it is.